Welcome, Paula. My name is Anastasia, and I am a fellow in Group 1 of the Mercy Global Action Emerging Leaders Fellowship, and I will be your moderator for this presentation. This series of presentations is the culmination of the hard work of fellows from the past 18 months. This is a very exciting opportunity for all of us in the Mercy Global Action Emerging Leaders Fellowship to share and to hear these research presentations and to be in conversation with you all today. This is number 7 of 9 presentations, and we are very pleased to see participants from the Thank you so much for tuning in and for being here today. Just a few little housekeeping things before we get started. This Zoom session has been selected as a meeting rather than a webinar, and this allows the presenter and attendees to see each other. You may choose to view today's research presentation in presenter view rather than gallery view. This allows you to see the presenter rather than all of the attendees. This option can be selected in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And this is a reminder to please be respectful to the presenter and to mute yourself during the presentation. We hope this presentation is interactive. Please feel free to submit any questions and comments via the chat box. We will have about 10 minutes for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. Finally, this session is being recorded for future viewing on the Mercy World website. So today it gives me great pleasure to introduce Paula Anamani, who will be diving into the theme of women at the forefront of climate change. Paula, who is originally from Samoa, is part of the congregation of Ngāwhai Akape o Aotearoa, Sisters of Mercy, New Zealand. She was until recently a care and protection social practitioner in the Ministry for Children of New Zealand. This role allowed her to journey alongside children who are vulnerable and represent them at the family court. Paula was also involved as a counsellor for blind and low vision, working for those who have had a loss of vision as a result of domestic violence. Empowering women and ensuring their voices are heard are the driving factors motivating her to be part of a collective and assertive voice for the vulnerable in our society. Paula's projects have also led her to work alongside refugees who have lost their vision due to war and conflict in their countries. And as a result, she has been compelled to represent and be an advocate for people who have been displaced and who are seeking refuge. Paula has an awareness of all that surrounds her and that which affects our environment, especially climate change and its effect on climate nations. She feels it is a duty to ourselves and our children to be responsible and of service not only to each other, but also to our community. We are so grateful she can lead us in this discussion today. Paula, thank you so much, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna, for this lovely introduction. Kia ora, tārawhalawa, malo elelei, and warm greetings to each one of you. To those who are connecting from online and all of you who are present here today. It is a great honor to deliver this presentation in Catherine's house. Wow, I'm so privileged knowing that this is where the seed of mercy started. So privileged for that. And this seed was spread right to the Pacific Island, tiny island of Samoa, and I am the product of that seed. Thank you. So you might be seeing me standing here by myself, but I am surrounded by Catherine's spirit and also the spirit of my ancestors and those who are affected by climate change that I'm carrying with me in my heart. So my presentation today is about women at the forefront of climate change. Catherine Macaulay and her companion were at the forefront of justice for the poor and the marginalized in her time. Despite all the challenges and the difficulties that Catherine faced, she put her trust in the providence of her God. In Catherine's words, which I'm sure that was said under this roof, she said, "The poor need help today, not next week." If you can hear that, there is an urgency on that message from Catherine, those words. In the context of climate change, who are the poor and the marginalized in our world today? We are all aware of the seriousness of climate change. It is affecting the whole world. In New Zealand, the impact of Cyclone Gabrielle, which hit the country in February this year, affected many families throughout the country. Sadly, some have lost their loved ones. Their homes and livelihoods have all been destroyed and washed away, leaving many families homeless. A lot of the lands are no longer safe for those families to return to. So these changes greatly impact the Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand. A Maori person shared on the news when they were interviewed about moving away from those lands that was enslaved. He said, "This is not about money. This is about our land, our life." For Maori people, land is part of their whakapapa, their genealogy, their tūranga waiwai, a place where they stand and feel empowered and belong. In the Pacific Islands, where I am from, most of these small island nations are at risk and extremely vulnerable to climate change. The rising sea levels have already resulted in some families being displaced and having to relocate. One of the Pacific Island countries of Tuvalu is highly at risk. It is understood that Tuvalu is likely to be the first country in the Pacific Island to sink below the sea. Simon Kofe, an MP of Tuvalu, made a headline when a media video showed him standing knee-deep in seawater saying, "We are sinking." The hardest thing affecting indigenous people in small Pacific Island countries, that once their island disappear, they won't be able to see them again. The process, they won't be able to see this land, and the process is irreversible. The impact of this is more than losing your country. It is about losing your identity, your culture, your heritage. A Samoan proverb says, "Ole tangata malona ainga, ole tangata malona whasingamanga." This means every person belongs to a family, and every family belongs to a person. Can you imagine in years to come when most of these island countries will all be covered with water? New generations won't be able to see their own lands or, honoring their loved ones who are laid to rest in these island homes. An article in one of the Pacific Island newspaper, it says, "Land is fundamental to the identity and way of life of indigenous Pacific Islands. Many indigenous people land relates to all aspects of existence, culturally, spirituality, language, law, and identity. The land sustains and provides for the people, and the people sustain and manage the land through cultural and ceremony. Where we are now with climate change, every voice counts. Talanoa is a well-known word or process among the Pacific Islands. It is about open conversations. Within this Talanoa, people use traditional proverbs, storytellings, poems, songs, dances, and cultural metaphors to share a message. When people Talanoa, they connect, new ideas arise and thoughts develop. As one of our traditional Samoan proverbs says, Oletele osulu emawaifi ngota. Through collaborations, the most difficult challenges can be overcome. Our strength does not come from us alone, but from many. Pacific Island women and girls have seen enough evidence of what countries are doing to their homelands and the rest of the world. They are paddling their canoes and casting their nets into the deep sea of world leaders, taking their message across to different decision makers. Despite their age, ethnicity, gender, language, and status, these women are putting their words into action. They are the voices of their countries, their future generations, and of many living species that also have the right to be on and flourish on this beautiful Mother Earth. What about the voices of the mountains, rivers, and oceans who have served their communities and ancestors all their lives? One of the authors, Crofton, states, people forced to leave their homes because of climate change damage are not refugees, nor are they migrants. They are not being persecuted by their own governments, and they are not choosing to leave in search of economic opportunity. Rather, they are being dispossessed by the choices of other countries to continue to pollute the atmosphere. Mary Robinson, in her book, Climate Justice, she stated, if we took away barriers to women's leadership, we would solve the climate change problem a lot faster. What Mrs. Robinson mentioned here is associated with one of our well-known Samoan proverbs. E aule ina ilaua tamaitae. Women will turn their hands successfully to any task that must be done and will work hard until the task is completed. I now would like to invite you to listen to the voice of one of the Pacific Island activists who are at the forefront of climate change, Brianna Freund.
When I was a little girl, I was taught the importance and impact of words. In my culture, in Samoa, there's a proverb that goes, "E pala ma'a, le pala upu." It means that even stones decay, but words remain. A lesson in knowing how words can be wielded, how text can change everything, how each word you use is weighted. How switching one word or number could reframe worlds. How climate action can be vastly different from climate justice. How 2 degrees could mean the end, and 1.5 could mean a fighting chance. You all have the power here today to be better, To remember that in your meeting rooms and drafting documents are more than just black and white objects. To remember that in your words, you wield the weapons that can save us or sell us out. We need to remind you the reality of vulnerable communities. If you're here today, you know what climate change is doing to us. You don't need my pain or my tears to know that we're in a crisis. The real question is whether you have the political will to do the right thing, to wield the right words, and to follow it up with long overdue action. If you're looking for inspiration on this, look no further than the climate leadership of young Pacific people. We are not just victims to this crisis. We have been resilient beacons of hope. Pacific youth have rallied behind the climate. We are not drowning, we are fighting. This is our warrior cry to the world. We are not drowning, we are fighting. This is my message from Earth to call. I hope you remember my words today and look closely at your words as you go throughout, because e Paula ma'a and me Paula u'u. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to Brianna for the lovely input, for the voices of Pacific Island women in the World Leaders Conference. I now like to invite you to reflect on two questions.
When I was a little,
Two questions for you there to reflect on, or it says, how can Mercy women support women leaders in their own country already advocating for climate justice? And how can Mercy people in countries still supporting the expansion of fossil fuel mining challenge this policy and practice? You can either send me your answers on Facebook or on our community website, but I now like to read you a poem that I wrote myself. And I would like to dedicate this poem to our Mother Earth and all those who are affected by climate change, and also for all of us women. And I call the poem Land, the Life Force of My Identity. As I lay comfortably in the warmth of my mother's home, gently and silently, she breathed life within my being. I was not alone in this place called Whanua, the womb of love, surrounded by the spirit, the wairua of my ancestors, connecting me to the land, river, and ocean where I belong, with God at the center of it all. At dawn on the day of my birth, the sunrise approached, the beginning of a new day. The sound of the waves from afar, carried by the gentle sea breeze, filled the air. Birds communicated from their nesting places, roosters rowing in line with their morning routines. The morning dew condensing upon the colorful leaves of tropical plants. Their freshness bringing new growth while the sunrise reflects over it. I finally arrived at our open family, our home. I made it home safely. The softness and comfortable hands of an elderly midwife who happened to be the family matriarch. I felt the gentleness of her caring arms as she carefully handed me over to my parents, who eagerly waited to hold me for the first time. There was silence and tears of happiness enveloping me. Their tears symbolizing blessings of love from these significant people in my life. A prayer of thanksgiving was recited on my arrival as the Petuwau morning star started to fade away. A symbolic and traditional ritual took place at the same time for the whanua, the presenter, to return to earth, where it was originally from. It was part of my heritage, my whāsino my family genealogies, past, present, and future. E telea au le tangata nai loa au le la'au. A person has more roots than those of a tree. Roots that are strongly intertwined and deeply woven within the heart, connecting us to the land. This precious island home was created by God, a legacy from my ancestors who shared their blood to ensure our customs, culture, traditional values, and identity will never be taken away from us. Their indigenous knowledge and wisdom had enabled us to treat our land, rivers, and ocean with great respect. Our land is life for us. As years went by, great changes reached our shores. The silent agony and the cry of our land hit the core of the heart, too painful to comprehend. Knowing our home will soon be covered with water, and it will be gone, gone, gone forever. Sadly, this is the reality that we are now facing. This is a big loss for our future generations. For in losing our land, we also lose a most tangible and vivid life force upon which we form our identity. Before I conclude, I'd like to share two quotes here for us to take. It says, from Michelle, empowering women is the single most important way to ensure effective climate action. What this quote and this time is telling us, we are all leaders. We are all daughters of Catherine in wherever we are fighting for justice, standing with those who are marginalized in our society. Thank you.